myself started here real quick. What I wanted to do is come and just share the Turning Point Ministry Group story with you, which includes Turning Point Counseling. And a lot of you know that Kevin and I do a lot of different things, and it's like, what do you love to? What do what's this all about? What does this have to do with you guys? And how does this all fit in? So I thought I'd give you the story, and so you can kind of see what's going on and how you are a part of a bigger family than you realize, which is pretty exciting, actually. And it's also kind of a story about how God has moved in Kevin's and my life in terms of how if he told you the full story, you'd probably run the other way and go, I don't think we're going to do this. But he kind of just unfolds this a little bit at a time. So and then it kind of dawns and he's like, oh, I get it. Okay, this starts to make sense. And it's just really started to make sense in the last 5 years in terms of what we've been doing, because most of that has been just kind of survival. So let me give you the story. Kevin and I were junior high pastors at a church in La Puente, California, where my father-in-law was a pastor. Actually, Kevin and I met at Southern California College, which is now Vanguard University. He fell in love with a professor there called Gail Irwin, and who wrote the book The Jesus Style, as well as some other books, about 5 or 6 books now. And I fell in love with Gail Irwin's daughter. And so I ended up marrying her. You got to do what you got to do to get your grades. So anyway, when Kevin and I graduated at the same time, and at that time also Gail took a church. So he also left the college, and so he went to La Puente to start, to take over this church. I went to Fuller Seminary to start my advanced training, and Kevin followed Gail to be the junior high pastor. So we're in Pasadena now, my young bride and I, and we're thinking, well, where do you want to go to church? And we said, well, let's go to your dad's church. I mean, we're not going anywhere. Let's go there. So we did that, and that's where Kevin and I really began to become friends, and I kind of helped him with his junior high pastor role. I was going to Fuller, and we'd get together. He'd share stories with me about what he's encountering. I go, oh, I just read that in the textbook. You got to try this, And so we're kind of swapping stories, and he gets excited about this marriage and family thing. So he starts about 2 years later at Fuller Seminary as well to get his license. So I'm about 2 years ahead of Kevin, and I'm finishing up my internship and realizing that, I was extremely naive. I thought people got into this business to help people, but that wasn't the case, because I saw all kinds of things going on, like double billing people and making money. I mean, it's just incredible I was just very naive. So I was trying to find a place to work that had some integrity and that, was kind of where I was at. The other thing I saw was the church did a great job of bringing people into the church, but once they got there, it's like, okay, you guys sit here because we're going to go get more people into the church, while you're broken and hurting, and then well, gosh, we got to do something. So there aren't many Christian therapists, so let's send them to some therapists. So I saw them being referred out of the church for help. I'm thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense. We bring them into the church and refer them out of the church. So that's where I really felt called to start something, or at least to be a part of something. And I looked around and there wasn't much going on in terms of Christian counseling, in particular as a clinic or as a ministry. So Kevin and I drafted up a proposal to the church, saying we'd like to start an arm of the church, a ministry from the church. And about a year later, they said, go for it. So we started this ministry. And about 4 years into it, some of you may remember this story about John MacArthur, who's in Grace Community Church. He had a lawsuit. One of his counselors had a client that killed himself, a lay counselor. So there's this big, huge lawsuit that went to the state Supreme Court, and John MacArthur won. The problem is most of us lost because the insurance companies got pretty anxious about, taking the liability of church counseling centers. So our church was hit with that, and they came to the insurance company and said, you know what, we're not gonna cover this any longer, so either you need to shut it down or separate it, but we're not in this game anymore. Okay, so we already had about 4.5 years of our life into this, and so we didn't want to shut it down. So that's when we stepped out of the church and formed our own 501c3 corporation, which is really, God kind of pushing us out of the nest, because what was interesting is that we were at a church in a particular denomination. So other denominations wouldn't feel comfortable referring to this other denomination. But I also found that even churches within the denomination wouldn't want to refer people to this other church over there because they may go to that church and leave our church. And I mean, there was all that stuff going on. So we found by leaving the La Puente and we went to Diamond Bar into an office building, suddenly we were neutral ground. And suddenly all the different churches and denominations could access us, which was really cool. That's what we were trying to do in the first place. So also along that time, also by the way, as I was getting ready, getting my PhD, it was like me getting ready for a party. I mean, there's a party going on out there. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to get my tux, and I get all ready, and I'm walking down the hallway to the place where the party is. And as I'm going to the party, people are passing me, carrying chairs and tables. I'm thinking, isn't this where the party is? Yeah, that's where the party was. What do you mean was? I just got here. I'm ready for this party. Psychologists were making anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 to $300,000 a year, easy. A lot of insurance going on, hospital. I mean, it was boomtown, right? You remember that, Trina. And so I'm just getting ready for this party, and they're just unpacking the party. I'm thinking, wait a minute, they spent a lot of money getting ready for this party. What do you mean that the party's over? And the party's over, and it has been over ever since, and that's called HMO, managed care. Because, as you know, I'm in other businesses, and what's interesting is, and I'll tell you now and I'll tell you later, but you know, counseling business is a lousy business. It really is. And the reason is because it's not a fair market. You have 100% of the market, right? Like with the metal stamping company I have, it's an open market, may the best man win. I can deal with that. It's tough competition, but that's what it's about. But in counseling, here's your market right here. Because this is all taken over by the managed care. Now, if you want to play here, you can play here, but they're going to tell you what to do, how to do, what to charge, how long, and on and on and on, and then you have to pound the paperwork to boot, all of which you don't get paid. And if you don't do the paperwork just right, that's cause to not to pay you. And you wait 3 months to 9 months to get paid, which is a cash flow problem, right? So, so the party's over. All right. So, but Kevin and I, we're just scrambling, and we always got complained of, you guys keep changing. Yeah, because the landscape keeps changing. We got to survive. So here we go. We had an opportunity. We had lunch with. We were doing a lot of hospital work at that time, and we met with a hospital administrator, and they said, look, we're going to start a radio program, and it's for our Christian unit at our hospital, and we want to promote it, and we're going to have a Christian radio program, and would you be willing to be guests? Okay, yeah, we'll be guests. And I said, now, who's going to be, who's going to host it? Who's going to be the continuity? Because, well, we're just going to have rotating guests. I said, well, you guys ought to think about having a host or something so that there's some continuity and you need to have guests coming through. Okay, so, but you guys are willing to willing to come on? Yes. So about a week or 2 weeks later, they called up and says, hey, would you like to be the host? And I'm the guy that says, okay. Kevin, guess what we're going to do? He says, have you ever done this? I go, I've never done this before. So okay, we're going to be the host. So we're going to be the host. So we go down to the radio station, and our training is this. They say, okay, there's a studio, there's the 2 chairs, the 2 mics, there's all the buttons. Go for it. Do it. So our first show, we had like about 5 hours of programming for a half hour. Actually, it was an hour, and it was live. And we got through 5 hours in 1 hour because we were just a machine gun. We were so anxious, so scared. We asked a question, we didn't wait for the answer. We just kept going. We were so anxious about that. And we had New Life Treatment Centers sponsored that for the first 2 years. After that, we went from a 1 hour live format to a 15-minute daily format. And basically what we did is we had authors that would come through. We'd take them, one author for a week, 15 minutes a day, kind of march through their book and dealt with